Okay, I took a little break, turned the fan on, checked the phone to see if it was overheating. And in the meantime, the neighbor decided they want to start playing music, so you may hear that in the background. Um, and as a side note, some researchers question whether there are different stages in the production of these points. Like, is this an actual stage in the point manufacture? I think it is actually a significant stage where I would store this for later use because I'm already past all the major obstacles with the large spall, thinning down the large spall, and now I'm ready for the next stage, which is a totally different mindset. It is a different mindset, and the new guys are going to have to learn pre-biface and post-bifacing, or um, yeah, pre-bifacing and post-bifacing techniques with larger points. It's not such a big deal with smaller points. I don't know. It's just my opinion, I guess. But it is a big deal. I'm finding, at least in my own experience, with the larger ones. Okay, so I think it is a significant stage where we've already passed the two stages. One is the initial spalling and heat treating. That's the first stage, is gathering of the material and preparing it for work. And then the initial reduction, removing cortex, large problem areas, the crack that was here, and then get it down to a usable biface or a blank that could either be traded or worked. And it's not a tool in itself. This is not something for digging, and then they get tired of using it for digging and say, here, you can have your biface back for your projectile point. No, this is a dedicated projectile point biface. In my opinion, they were not used for anything else except for bifaces, and these were dedicated blanks or preforms or bifaces, or whatever you want to call them. Okay. So the change in mindset is being the power used to generate flakes at this stage is different than what we just used just a little while ago. Okay. Reduced in power, but we have to be very careful about platform preparation and hit hard if we need to. It's variable. Hit hard if you need to. Right? If you see something that really is thick, you're going to need to hit pretty hard. Like, I'm probably going to have to hit this pretty hard to get that off, but it's not too bad. It's not a big honking island with steps all the way around. There's a good angle of attack here. And if necessary, I can do an angle of attack this way, because the edge of the flake will fan this way and that way. Now the flake will start here. It'll fan out like that, right? And hopefully the fan will catch that. It'll ride right along this step and remove the step. If I had to come in from this way. But usually when I do the step fracture thing, I come in from the other side. All right, so I want to preserve width, right? Still have some good amount of width, but it's getting dicey. All right, so let's see. I was using indirect percussion on this. With aluminum. Can I use my antler stuff? Yes, I can. Yep, I got it right there. Let's see. These I haven't used these in a while. But they're all beat up. If I were to use them on those last 4 that I did with aluminum, I would lose probably a 1/4 inch off the tops of each one of these at least. Anyway, we'll do it later. I got plenty of antler now, so I can't complain. But I'm still going to use the aluminum just to irritate people. It is getting really hot in the shop. The weather turns around very quickly from morning to afternoon. Amazing how fast it gets hot. All right, so where was I? I need my... There it is. I need my mallet here. All right, so I'm going to switch. I'm going to use a steel rod here for fine tuning. Now this is regular mild steel. You can get at the hardware store. I don't know, 3/8? No. Let's see. If you guys want to know exact, let's see what we got here. Yeah, 3/8. Okay. Doesn't look like 3/8. But it is. Okay. I just put that little rod under my knee. Why am I not using the wrought iron? Because I want to save those tools. I don't want to use them all up. Alright, so I'm going to develop this edge a little bit better. It's all wonky right now and very clunky. I don't know. You'll see when I'm done. I'll take my time with this particular piece. Not only because large spalls are rare for me, but because I don't want to mess this up. I'm really not in the mood to go out and get another one of these spalls, even though I have like 3 or 4 more of this fairly large stuff. Now, could I have just used a large flake, a little bit bigger than this, or try to get a flake that looks like this? You know, bubble percussion on this side and it fans out, and you just use a flake. Yeah, I can, but how often can I plan a big old flakes like this? It's not easy to develop a core to produce flakes like this. I think that core got me 2 or 3 spalls. If I were to try to get 2 or 3 of these nice flakes that are relatively flat from a core, I would have to develop the cone first, you know, lose a lot of that material. And I probably could get flakes. So if you can do it that way, get flakes that look similar to this with a bubble percussion here and it's easily removed, yeah, go for it. Me, I prefer to work with bulky spalls and not peeled off flakes from a big old core. First of all, I can't get those big old cores, but if you can, more power to you. You can probably get more out of it. Now that I think about it, you can probably get a more efficient use of your stone. The irony is you got to start with a bigger piece of stone, which is not really an option for many of us. There's still a little bit of a crack there. That should be all right. So which side did I just did this side. See how much better that looks? So I can see better what my contours are to attack that. My line of sight is much better, to use a military term. All right, so let's regularize this edge too. Be very careful in front of that step fracture. Because if the flakes go too far and stack up against that, believe it or not, it makes it harder to remove. I'm trying to chip the top of it off. Let's see. Yeah, try to get it as low as possible. Without creating too many weird diving flakes. The flakes can dive in if you do that. So try not to hit it too hard. Just hit it enough to flatten it a little bit. If you're lucky, you can butt up against it with a flat end and strike and peel off the rest of that step. I don't carry around. Well, I do. Let's see. Just happen to have kind of within reach. If you preserve the flat end, this you can set up against and hit it, right? Should I try it? It's kind of long. Let's see. I'm gonna try it. Okay, let's see what happens. Probably not gonna do anything, but we'll see. They made a little bit of an impression on it. Deposited some metal, but right here, let's see if I can. Popped out a little bitty flake right there. I hit it right here. Popped out that little flake. So it did do something. Now can it drive the step fracture sometimes the whole way? Yep, it can, but not this time. There's not enough surface. Anyway, that's how you do it. You got to use your imagination. Oh, see, I already rounded the end of this. If I had left it flat, I could probably do that technique. So maybe I should just leave it flat next time. I just round it over so I won't get, it doesn't irritate me and cut me by accident or whatever. Sometimes I scratch myself on those. Anything that has an edge on it, I will end up somehow scratching myself with it and giving myself anxiety. Ouch. Not doing a very good job of this. Okay. Yeah, this side's regular enough. Let's just leave it for now. All right, so where am I going to attack? It's still not, I'm still not satisfied with the lines of attack. There's not enough convexity, not enough curve going over. It just dips in front of it. So I'm just going to go ahead and attack some thick spots. See how that goes. In other areas. Attack thick spots in other areas. Eventually it'll come back around to where I need to hit, but you never know. The contours may change and something may change in the process of doing this. Now, I'm not talking because I'm trying to see what the steel rod is doing. Got to make sure I'm aware of what it's doing. Whether I'm going to use the steel rod to send a flake into this area or the aluminum. Steel looks like it's doing pretty good. As it gets thinner, I am going to use the steel rod more, but I think I can still use the aluminum right now. I need to, I want to get rid of this here. A lot of these weird areas here before I send it this way. Yeah, the steel looks like it's working okay. Sometimes the steel will crush the platforms and it's not working okay, and I won't use it. I'll use the aluminum instead. If the aluminum crushes the platforms, then I have to use antler. Some of you new guys that don't have that option, what do I do if I don't have antler and I'm crushing all the platforms? You gotta make stronger platforms. That's all I can tell you. A lot of times it's not gonna be very pleasant. You're gonna have to get a better stone. If the tools that you're using are not working on the stone, you're gonna get different stone. Or just, like I said, diversify your toolbox. Why not just use antler the whole time? Because it wears down really fast. I don't know how many times I gotta tell you. I don't like having to resharpen and resharpen. I like to hit. Keep hitting. And when I'm in the zone, I want to keep hitting and hitting and hitting. I don't want to go, man, this is getting worn down so fast. I gotta resharpen, and where was I? Lost the groove. For those of you with anxiety, you know what I'm talking about. It's hard enough to get in the zone to begin with, but to have to maintain your tools and pop in and out of that zone every few minutes, it really is nerve-wracking. For those of you who it doesn't bother, don't worry about it. Switch around all you want. Use the soft materials all you want. Maintain your tools constantly. It's not going to bother you. But to everybody else, try to use tools that don't require too much maintenance. That way you can focus for as long as you possibly can. Alright, it's getting to be that time. I'm already thinking about it too much. Well, the neighbor's being merciful. They're not playing the music the whole time. Okay, all right, let's see. broke up, but it took off on most of it. Took off the other half. So boom, boom. And now I've got to do this last one here on this side probably. Could go down the middle, but it's a little bit too weak. It's better from the side closest to the defect, even though there's little steps. That shouldn't be too bad. All right. Get rid of the weak areas. Look for some other spots first. Dang. Yeah. Better not to release than to take off too much. That's because it's already getting dimpled. That should have fanned out a little bit better, but my flaker is getting dimpled already. Loses power when it's dimpled and all kind of raggedy. And the same goes for antler. Yeah, I bumped right up against that. I was afraid of that. Anyway, not a big deal. Let's see if we can speed this up. So believe it or not, chances for failure starts rising as I get bored, as I get impatient. I said I was going to take my time on this, but if I take too much time, there ends up being too much thinking going on. Yep, it's already dimpled. Sharpen, fix both ends so I can use one as a backup. How's that? All right. Yes, that's what I want. A nice big flake with no overshot. There's plenty of power for an overshot, but I don't want one. I use plenty of power for these, but I do need to be aggressive. It's still, even though it's heat treated, it is still a little bit rough. It's not obsidian. I do have to be aggressive with it. Especially during damage control. All right. I gotta regularize the edge. Okay. One more round of regularizing the edge. Is it wise to hold the tip like this while I'm punching? But this is the beauty of indirect percussion. It doesn't shock the piece. So yeah, it's risky, but I'm used to it. And I want to be able to consistently hit without shocking the piece. So in a way, taking those risks helps you to understand what the limits of the material are so that you can always be hitting with the least amount of shock, while at the same time not letting up on your aggression. It's a very difficult line to walk. That's why it takes such a long time to learn knapping. Everything's a fine line. Everything is tweaking. All right. Should probably use the steel now. All right. Yeah. Now, what's the difference between the steel and the aluminum? The steel has a smaller impact area. I can take advantage of smaller platforms as this thing gets smaller. And I can direct the forces a little bit easier. Oh, I didn't do a very good job directing the forces on that one. Directing the forces that way, this way. The smaller tip is more responsive. Just slightly so. It's very subtle. It's very, it's tweaking it just ever so slightly. That was unfortunate. That's what I get for using a really coarse abrader, but I think I can still get that flake in there that I want. Nope. I did lose power because the platform wasn't solid enough. Yeah. That's the kind of thing you want to try to avoid. I was saying earlier in the video, you don't want a big old island or bulky spot toward the end. Let's see what happens. But this flake failed to remove that. It was too narrow. So now I got to deal with it now. All right, next segment. All right, I should have stretched, but here goes. Should have stretched, turn on the fan, relax, but no. I'm just going to dive right into it. All righty. Not too bad, not too bad. What is the width to thickness ratio at this stage? 56 millimeters, thickest spot. $11, so 5 to 1. 5 to 1. I would, and this is another stage for me to stop at. If I wanted to stop and continue it another day, I would stop at this stage, because that was just removed. There's only minor damage control needed. It just requires a final thinning flakes. I could develop a base right now. I think I'm just going to have this one as be just a simple blade, just so I can finish it out, finish this video quickly. Yeah, because this stage I can use pressure, so this is a good stage to mark it at. I mean, this is a good stage to emphasize. All right, so this would be the stage 3 or stage 4. I don't know. Heating and initial spalling and heating, initial bifacing, and secondary bifacing. So this is stage 3, secondary bifacing, where you remove all the major hassles. Now the fourth stage starts, final thinning. Okay, that's just a guess. This is not meant to be technical. Although, you know, some archaeological works or reports, they go into it in much detail. Yeah, that wasn't too bad. I can tell I'm building up the muscle memory for these pressure flakes and the rigidity that I need to be able to push off these larger flakes. Have a good grip. It doesn't mean a death grip. It means firm hand, and it's just firming it up, so you don't have any squishiness in the grip. And using the legs too sometimes. Should start at this end. See, I tend to drag my knuckles across the edge as I'm going down. So if I go this way, it's sharp here, and I'm dragging my knuckles across it. I've been cutting myself. I got to get out of that habit. With these larger pieces, that's another thing. You drag your fingers across the edges more often with these larger pieces than with smaller. At least with me, I don't know if you guys have that issue. If I'm too far away, if I back up on the grip on this, if I back up, if it doesn't feel like I'm adding enough pressure, I have to be really up close to the tip. Really up near the tip to get the right kind of pressure. and I end up dragging at least this part of my finger against the edge. Anyway, it doesn't happen with the smaller points. I was hoping to be able to get rid of that little mess up right there. Let's get a smaller flaker. Yeah, okay. I tried to hit the tops of that step, see if I could just pick it off by hitting the step itself, but it didn't work. So I just had to lose a little bit of a dimple off the edge. And this is what I'm getting now. Now that my strength has improved, I'm bending the tips of these flakers. All right. I bent this one the other day too. I can feel my finger hit that edge. All right. Much more regular. It's time for the final thinning pass, if possible. If I can get it at 6:1, it's good. Width to thickness ratio, good enough. It was at 5:1 last time, but it's not difficult to go one step. All right. Go from 5:1 to 6:1 is just one step. It's not that difficult. Same rules apply. Go start at the ends first and thin those down just in case. It can still be snapped at this stage. Still looking for strategic attacks on some of these lumps. Okay, so I'll continue on the next segment. I had to wrestle with it toward the end there because I lost a lot of width. Or I lost a lot of width while wrestling with it. Now, I don't think I've improved on the width to thickness ratio. Let's just see if we're running out of time here. 42. By 7. It's still 6-1. Was it 5-1 before? Can't remember. Anyway, I'll continue on the next segment.